This movie was so groundbreaking. Not only what is our reality, but okay, if there's a spiritual dimension, if that's real, what is it like? And how does that actually affect our physical world? Welcome back to Movies Are Spiritual. We are counting down our favorite movies, and this is my number one pick. All right, are you guys ready to know? We've been counting down. And what do you think my favorite movie is?
I couldn't think of it, dude. I really thought the Batman was
Forever.
Be, unless it's an older Batman movie, yeah.
I figured it would have been a Batman movie also as your number one.
I was going to joke that it was Batman and Robin.
Yeah, no one would believe that.
I wouldn't have bought that one.
Okay, well, here's my number one. It is Mr. Bean.
The Mr. Bean movie?
Oh, he's so funny.
Yeah.
I saw him play an imaginary drum set.
Yeah, my real pick for number one is The Matrix. Shouldn't really be a surprise.
I get that now.
All right.
I'm going to share my reasons for picking this film and some of the spiritual ideas I see in the film that made me want to talk about it on this podcast. So these are quick casts. We're really just kind of hitting the bullet points, and some of our longer reviews, we go into more detail. But the reason I picked The Matrix is how it depicts reality. I think the depiction of two worlds, one you can see and one you can't see, that's not a new concept. I mean, I'd been playing Zelda games since I was a kid. So A Link to the Past, in that game, there's a light world and there's a dark world. And one of those worlds you know about, and one of them you don't until further in the game, and you discover it, and you have to travel between two worlds. But this type of thing is a perfect analogy. You see it very clearly in the film of a physical world and a spiritual world, which we may or may not be aware of. And in that spiritual world are other forces at play, evil forces, good forces that represent, spirits, God, angels, demons. And this movie was so groundbreaking in terms of thinking about that. Not only what is our reality, but okay, if there's a spiritual dimension, if that's real, what is it like? And how does that actually affect our physical world? So I thought that was fascinating. But there is another deep concept here. If you follow Neo's journey, I think part of Neo's journey, and anyone who's learning about the Matrix and choosing to go into it, this is almost a parable about how difficult it is to let go of an idea or how you see the world or an opinion in favor for another idea that might actually be more accurate. So if you think something is true and it's actually not true, but something else is, I mean, there's usually resistance in getting over to that other idea. Some people never change their mind when they're wrong about something and get over to the reality side of whatever that issue is, right? And you see Neo walking through that. Like, he doesn't want to believe in this other world. He wants the world as he knew it before. And there's resistance. And then once he goes through it, and once he enters the Matrix, eventually he's going to become all that he was really capable of. So resistance to ideas, I thought, and that's a fascinating concept. Like, what does it really take for someone themselves to change their own mind about something when they have a strong opinion? And did you guys see that in the Matrix trilogy at all? I guess it's a quadrilogy now.
Yeah.
No, it's the trilogy.
I remember how you feel about
numbers. We don't talk
just like
about
Indiana Jones, it's a trilogy.
3 movies.
Truthfully, I have not watched The Matrix since we've started talking about this kind of stuff, so I haven't really looked into it that deeply. We did the 4th one, really tried with that. But I'm right on cue with you with everything you were saying. I totally agree with everything when it comes to that. And I have a better idea of why you actually enjoyed the 4th one a little bit too. So that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, and to tap into that concept a little bit, it could also be looked at as a parable of a person like converting from one religion to another. I mean, do you realize like how many cultural barriers might be there, how difficult that might be. I mean, that literally might be Neo's journey in the first half of this movie. Taking the pill, waking up in that like embryo and busting out. I mean, it would be really difficult for someone to change cultures or change religions like that. And I just think that's an interesting parable to analyze that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys catch all the
Yeah.
biblical references in the film?
I mean, again, I'm kind of like Doug. It's been a while. I'd have to have my memory refreshed on the first movie. I'm going to just say I probably didn't. I can't think of one right now. I'm sure there are, and I'm sure I'd see them if I watched the movie again. That's the thing. I kind of wish I would have known your top 6 movies. I could have reviewed them before we started talking about them.
Well, it makes it a little more fun. Otherwise,
it
we'll
does.
be here for 2 hours talking about.
Yeah. So
movies.
the good thing I guess about not knowing is it's like I kind of want to go back and watch some of these movies again. Not Lord of the Rings, but I could go back and watch Matrix again, and and look for these ideas that that you're bringing up and seeing. But no, I think it's a fascinating concept though about the reality to what's not reality and figuring that out. And you're right, that has got to be. I can definitely see the similarities between somebody switching a religion or a culture, or I mean, with anything, like even just moving to a new country and trying to, adapt to something not what you're used to,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, or even not what you
Well,
expected.
exactly. The religious themes that you saw, what did you see?
Well, Agent Smith and his agents, they start coming after Neo, but they don't really come out of the woodwork until Neo learns about the Matrix, right? I mean, they almost represent demons or evil spirits, and they basically leave you alone until you become a threat. And I saw that as an analogy for evil spirits, spiritual warfare, that type of thing. I mean, if you're not dabbling in that stuff or you're not a threat to them, maybe they don't bother you. I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a lot of questions about what the spiritual realm in terms of angels and demons looks like because I don't know that we have a ton of information in the Bible about that. But it sure
Yeah.
seems to me that like if you don't pay attention to the spiritual realm, there's no threat there from evil.
Right.
Maybe they want you to not know there's anything going on over there, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe they
Well,
want you to
mentioning
think they're
that.
not real
Yeah.
because then they can
Well, I
keep
mean, and
doing what they're
mentioning that.
doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, mentioning that, I mean, in a way, I guess you could also parallel that with, I don't know, with maybe like during Jesus' time with like the Romans. Did they really think of Jesus as anything particular until he became a threat? And then, like, once he started getting a following or started challenging some of the thinking, he becomes that threat. And that's when they decided to like go after him.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I guess there'd be like a parallel that way too,
Yeah. Yeah. My understanding
maybe.
is Rome didn't care about him except that he started to gather crowds and they're like, oh, this is a pain. Like you're causing blockades. And then the
Yeah.
Jews were offended by his spiritual teachings. I mean, they were furious that he would equate himself as God. So once that
Yeah.
started circulating, they were like, oh, we got to kill this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
He's now a threat. He's got to go.
yeah, and I'm sure you remember that Neo is referred to as the One. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he is. I always looked at him as a Jesus figure in this film, and the reason I wondered that is because not only is he called the One, and but he's born as a human, and then he has to have this divine function later. But there are other hints all the way throughout the movie. I always wondered what the Wachowskis intended by naming Trinity and the ship, the
Mm-hmm.
Nebuchadnezzar. That's a biblical term. The stronghold city is Zion. That's a
Zion.
stronghold city in
Yeah.
the Bible. That's a sort of a poetic metaphor. I mean, there are all these different biblical terms in that movie where I'm like, okay, I know the Wachowskis were doing something here with the spiritual side of things. What exactly were they intending to say? I don't know. But I like to just take it all in and try to see what I see and see what I feel like is true here and that kind of thing. I think it's kind of a fun way to watch those films. Like if I was going to
Yeah.
make a futuristic version of the Bible, I mean, it would basically be the first Matrix movie.
I mean, even when we did the last Matrix film and we broke that down, there was a lot of spiritual parallels in that film. And I think you're exactly right. I think like you could sit down and go through all of them and just see. I mean, if you're looking for it, you'll see it. I think a lot of people when they watch these movies, they're not looking for that spiritual theme. But I mean, when you stop and think about it, and just you open your eyes a little bit, it's all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
In these movies. I mean, it is all over the place.
Yeah.
But good choice. Again, another groundbreaking movie. You know, the bullet time. Very cool. Yeah, a movie I really, really enjoy. Out of all of them, that's definitely the best. You know, it was something different. And moving on, they kind of go downhill for me. But the first one was and is one I've seen many times. And next time I watch it, I'll keep an eye out for some, you know, like you said, the obvious ones, the one and all of that. You definitely catch that, but definitely like to look deeper into it with the other stuff. So
Yeah.
good choice.
I'm gonna have to check up. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to watch that again. It's been a while. The first time I tried to watch it, I was in college, and you're gonna think that I hate all these movies that you pick, and I trust me, I don't. The first time I watched The Matrix, I was in college, and I fell asleep halfway through it.
I remember that from the podcast.
Yeah, and it was late. I was tired. I fell asleep. It wasn't because I was bored with it. So I watched it again, and I did. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, but it's been a while since I've seen it. So I really need to just go back and refresh my memory and see. So I'm probably going to now, after talking about it, I know I'm going to spot things that I didn't see before. I'm going to, a lot of things are probably going to jump off. And that's why I'm interested to go back and like watch a lot of these movies again that you've mentioned. I might give Lord of the Rings again.
I wasn't sure how much I need, to take in this, but do you like Tarantino movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tarantino basically patterns his movies off of Tolkien.
Seriously?
If you really look at it, Tarantino movies are 90% talking. Two people sitting at a diner, two people sitting at another diner, and they're just talking, but the story is compelling. And if you really, really, listen to what they're talking about and everything like that, there is an amazing story while they're walking.
Yeah.
And then if you follow that story and then you get the cool action on top of it, that's what makes it good.
Okay.
And so if you go into it looking for the story and not as much a movie, I think you'll really enjoy it. And then look for the spiritual stuff too.
Okay. I will do that. But overall, man, your top 6, I like it.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff on there. Okay. One movie that I've never seen before in my life,
Matchstick Men.
I keep wanting to call it Matchbox Men.
Max Men, Boxers.
That Nicolas Cage movie.
With matches.
That's the one I'm really looking forward to watching. I really want to see that one.
Well, yeah, listeners, now that you've heard my whole top 6 favorite movies list, go back if you missed any of those and listen to the rest of those episodes. I do have one final question. I already know the answer of Drew's. What was the worst movie on my list? And for Drew, it is...
That's Lord of the Rings.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Yep, that's the one that did absolutely nothing for me.
What about you, Doug? I'm going to guess that your least favorite is my number 1, Matrix.
No.
I bet it's your number 2.
Yeah, I'd say I'm trying to. What was your number 5 again?
Number 5 was, I gotta look at my own list. Return of the Jedi.
Okay, yeah, definitely not that. And then 4 was
Infinity War.
What? Infinity War. That's right. Yeah, Batman.
Dark Knight Rises
I'd
is your
say.
least favorite on the list. Okay.
I would say so. Yeah, I haven't watched Matchstick Men yet, but I'm pretty sure Dark Knight Rises would be still number 6 on that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, and I'll put that above Lord of the Rings.
Actually,
see, I'm aware.
I'd probably put Matrix at number 2 on your list.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
aware enough that if I was going to recommend a Batman movie to someone, it wouldn't be Rises if that was the first one they were seeing. It would be The Dark Knight or the new Batman movie. Maybe Batman 89 if they like the goofier stuff, which I love that movie, but that's hasn't
one of my
aged
favorite
quite
Batman.
As well. Yeah. I love it, but compared to the new one, it makes me feel like, wait, Batman doesn't punch hardly anyone in this movie. So
He really didn't, did he?
oh. So that's my list.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit anybody. Punched the Joker once,
Yep.
and he had glasses on. That was it.
It's depressing.
But yeah, overall, though, good pick.
Awesome.
Good list.
Well, listeners, we are going to go through Doug and Drew's favorite movies soon. So stay tuned for that. They're going to have to explain their list and make the case for why each movie should be on their favorite movies list and the spiritual things they see. And then we're going to dialogue about it. So I can't wait to hear that. We will be back with those podcasts soon. If you want to contact us, we're sponsored by Brewery Ministries. So leave a comment here, or you can email us at breweryministries@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me, and I will see everybody soon. We'll see ya.
All right. See ya.